Ladies and gentlemen, we have just seen the most insane game of the 2026 World Cup. England 3, Mexico 2. Bro, there's so much to talk about this game, guys. Everyone thought Cape Verde versus Argentina was going to be the craziest game. This game had everything. Goals, controversy, penalties, red cards, yellow cards, headers, crazy strikes. This game was insane. Guys, I don't even know where to start with this game. Usually I don't do one game reviews. I usually don't do reviews for one game, but this game I have to do it because one of the hosts, Mexico, has just been eliminated in the Estadio Azteca, which I think this is their first loss in the Estadio Azteca in 13 years. I think the last time they lost in a professional game in the Estadio Azteca was in 2013. And England have just beaten them. And what an incredible win it was. Did England fully deserve to win? Maybe not. Should Mexico go through? Possibly. But at the end of the day, England get the job done. I want to start off by talking about Mexico because obviously, guys, if you know me, I have family that lives in Mexico. So I was rooting for Mexico alongside Canada in this World Cup, which is crazy that 2 days back to back, they both get knocked out. But that's beyond the point. Anyways, looking at Mexico, this team is incredible. So far in this World Cup, guys, Mexico have been very, very good. And I feel like they've just been getting better and better and better. Against South Africa, they were poor, but they got the 2-0 win. Against South Korea, they were better. They got the 1-0 win. Against Czech Republic, they were very good. 1-3-0. Impressive performance. Against Ecuador, this was maybe one of the best performances from Mexico that we saw in this World Cup. They were incredible. The amount of shots they had, the amount they were doing in the attack. They were so clinical, incredible game. Great goal by Quinones, another great goal by Jimenez. And after this game, guys, coming into this game against England, I'm saying Mexico can do it. I predicted Mexico to win because Mexico playing in the Estadio Azteca, first of all, they haven't lost in so long. Second of all, the fans are on their side. The fans were the 12th man in this game. And I thought with how good Mexico have been defensively, you know, Rangel, I think, was very good so far in this tournament before this game. Defensively, they were pretty solid. They kept a clean sheet in every single game. I thought this would be a very, very tough task for England. I predicted Mexico to win. Now, I will say for the first 20 or so minutes, it was very 50-50 as if we look at the momentum chart. Honestly, the whole first half was very 50-50. But when I saw Raul Jimenez miss that early header right here, a diving header, a beautiful header, and obviously Pickford makes a save, I thought, you know what? I'm not sure if Mexico are going to win this game. Because if they get chances like that, amazing opportunities like that, great shot, great header by Raul Jimenez, and Pickford makes the save, I don't know if they can win this game. And we saw that once again here, also by Raul Jimenez at the end of the half. Another brilliant header and a brilliant save by Pickford. And we know Pickford is not the biggest goalkeeper, but the way that he was claiming the ball, the way that he was making save after save after save in this game, it was a very, very good performance by Pickford in this game. Because going back to Mexico, Quinones has been fantastic this tournament. He has been the best player for Mexico. I've been saying it for a long time. He's incredible in the Saudi League. 33 goals in one season. I don't care what league you play in. It's very impressive. And in this World Cup, he's been the best player on Mexico. Obviously, he got a goal against Czech Republic, a goal and an assist against Ecuador. He single-handedly won them that game. And once again today, he gets another goal. And he even got a goal, let's not forget, in the first game against South Africa. He got the first goal in the World Cup, a brilliant goal. All his goals were fantastic. He was the best player from Mexico in this game. Colombian-born, but chose to represent Mexico. And I got to say, if he stays with Mexico, the next few years, he could be very, very important for this team. But even Raul Jimenez, guys, the comeback that this guy's had, obviously, we know the horrible injury that he had, right? We know what happened. But guys, in this World Cup, what he did with Mexico against Ecuador and even scoring his goal today against England, that penalty, incredible. And he probably should have had another goal as well. But guys, at the end of the day, the reason why Mexico did not win this game is because England were very good defensively. Pickford was saving almost all the shots, but Mexico were horrible defensively. I was saying in this tournament, Mexico have been pretty good defensively. But this game was a capitulation. Montes, Rangel, who I've praised in this tournament, has been very, very good. I always go back to that game against Korea where he made the double late save. Incredible tournament from Rangel. Probably one of the top 5 keepers of the tournament. But this game, he was shit. He was absolutely shit because in the first half, before England got the goal, you could say that Mexico were the better team. They had more of the ball. They had more chances. England didn't really create a single chance. Then all of a sudden, Jude Bellingham scores 2 goals in 2 minutes. He scores one in the 36th minute, a diving header. Somehow he's wide open at the back post, wide open. No one's guarding him. Sanchez is nowhere to be found, and he's wide open. Montes nowhere to be found. And then 2 minutes later, Mexico lose the ball in the middle of the pitch. It's a great 1-2 from Bellingham out wide to Harry Kane. Instantly takes out 3 defenders. Harry Kane passes it back in the middle to Bellingham. Bellingham gets in front of the defender, and he scores a goal from close range. A minute after the first goal. 2 minutes, 2 goals for Jude Bellingham. This is where Mexico fumbled. If Mexico did not concede those 2 early goals, Mexico would have won this game. But because of defensive mistakes, because of poor midfield, guys, I gotta say, the midfield in this game were very poor. Romo, we've seen him score in this tournament. He's been good. Gilberto Tomora, when he's been come off the bench, he was good. He was started in this game. Maybe it was a bit too big of an occasion for him. Guys, he's 17 years old. And because of him, because of Lira, and because of Romo in the midfield, losing the ball, Mexico loses this game. England get the first 2 goals with Jude Bellingham. But only a few minutes after Jude Bellingham's second goal, Quinones, off the set piece, ball falls to him, and he puts the ball in the back of the net. Great finish. Mexico are back in it. 1-2 going into halftime. I thought in the second half, Mexico were definitely going to come on top. I thought that, but it really didn't happen until that red card by Kwanzaa. Now, guys, obviously, Kwanzaa got the red card in the 54th minute, and, bro, this was a horrible tackle. This tackle by Kwanzaa was absolutely disgusting. He obviously goes for the sliding tackle, gets nowhere near the ball. He goes right over the ball. The ball is around his waist. He goes right over the ball, studs way high, right into the shin of the Mexican attacker. How the referee didn't see that right away and call a red card is crazy. Obviously, it goes back to VAR. VAR show his studs on the leg of the player, and it's obviously a red card. This changed the game for both England and Mexico, because after this point, Tuchel knew that he had to go defensive. He knew that he had to go defensive. He took off Saki, he brought in Stones. Not too long after, we saw Dan Burn come in. We saw Jed Spence come in. So from this point on, England changed the whole tactic. They went full defensive, and we knew that Mexico at this point were going to dominate the ball. We knew that. And that's when you also saw some substitutions. We saw Elson Alvarez come in the defense. We saw Gutierrez come in, and we saw Santiago Jimenez. So both managers were thinking the same thing. Thomas Tuchel knew that they had to defend. Javier Aguirre knew that they had to attack. That's why he brought in Gutierrez, who we know can cross in the ball very well, and Santiago Jimenez, who's another attacker. Hasn't been the best with AC Milan, but we know he can score goals. And Mexico were relying on that to score goals. Now, guys, the reason when this game was lost was when Kane got the penalty. It was a penalty. Rangel, once again, I said I gave him his praise for this tournament, but this game he was ass. He was shit. Gave away a penalty. Kane, we knew he was going to convert it. A great penalty. And at this point in the 60th minute, England are up 3-1. I know they're down a man, but 3-1, it was always going to be tough for Mexico to score multiple goals in the last half an hour. Now, obviously, Jimenez got a penalty on the other end of the pitch 9 minutes later. And yes, it was a penalty. You can call it soft. You can call it a cheap penalty, but it was a penalty. Kane kicks through his foot, which does result in a penalty, obviously. So Jimenez takes the penalty. Another great penalty. Pickford was close, but didn't get the save. At this point, it's 3-2 with 25 minutes to go, with probably a little bit more with the added time. I knew at this point Mexico were going to dominate possession. Absolute dominate. And dominate they did, guys. If you look, after the Jimenez goal, for the last 25 minutes, it was all Mexico. And including added time, for the last 30 minutes, it was all Mexico. England didn't even have a sniff of the ball. They maybe touched the ball 3 times. Long balls over the top, back to the Mexican defense or the goalkeeper, and Mexico attacked again. Attack. Full out attack for Mexico. If you look at the stats in the second half, Mexico had over 70% possession. They had 1.5 XG, 13 shots, all in the second half, to England's 3, to England's 28% possession. But England held on. We saw these defenders defend for their life. Konsa, Guehi, Dan Burn off the bench. Bro, he was just running into everyone. And England get the 3-2-1. And now, guys, England advance to face Norway in the quarterfinals as Mexico are eliminated in the round of 16. Now, guys, as for Mexico, I do feel bad for them. I think they deserved a draw from this full time. I think they were the better team in this game. And I think they're definitely going to feel hard done by that they lost in full time. They didn't even make it to extra time. But at the end of the day, they couldn't finish their chances. They had some great chances, great shots, but Pickford either made saves or they couldn't finish their chances. At the end of the game, Mexico started to get desperate. They were just swinging in cross after cross after cross. They started to get a little bit sloppy. And England, they just defended the lead. It was very close, but they just defended the lead and they advanced. But guys, I want to talk about England now, because I was saying that this game may be the toughest game that England play in this World Cup. Even if England end up beating Norway, if they make it to the semifinals, even if England are in the finals, I think this game right here against Mexico was probably the most one-sided game going into it. And I think England had probably the toughest hill to overcome, being played in the Estadio Azteca with a Mexican team that's fully confident, that has not even conceded a goal yet in this World Cup, with all the fans backing them. This was a very tough game for England, and the reason why they won is because they have difference makers in Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. Both of these players have been the reason why England are still in this tournament. Because if you look at England in recent games, obviously in this game against Mexico, we saw a goal from Harry Kane and 2 goals from Bellingham. That's the reason why they won. Against Congo, we saw 2 goals from Harry Kane. That's the reason why they won. They would have lost. Against Panama, we saw a goal and an assist from Jude Bellingham and a goal from Harry Kane. That's why they won. And against Croatia, we saw 2 goals from Kane and a goal from Bellingham. And that's why they won. The reason why England have won almost every game they've played, the reason why they're in the quarterfinals is because of Harry Kane and because of Jude Bellingham. This is the only reason why England are here. Their midfield was lackluster in this game. This was probably Rice's worst game. Defensively, they were inconsistent. I mean, they were defending the ball, but realistically, this game was all Kane and Bellingham. And that's why England won this game. And that's why I think if England do end up beating Norway, getting to the semifinals, maybe even the finals, it will be because of the difference makers that they have in this team that many other teams don't have. But guys, that's the end of the video. I'm sad for Mexico. I wanted Mexico to advance. I predicted them to advance, but sadly, they couldn't get the job done. As for England, congratulations to them. Very clinical in this game. To have 4 shots on target and 3 of them go in is absolutely incredible. Almost similar to what Morocco did against Canada yesterday when Morocco won 3-0. England showed that they can be clinical, that they have the difference makers, and that they're here to play, and that they don't care what hill they have to overcome. You can be in Mexico 2,000 meters above the ground with all the Mexican fans howling at you, and they can still get over the line. So guys, honestly, for this England team, for the future of this tournament, I think England will have a very good tournament. I think they could get past the quarterfinals, and they might even make it to the final. But guys, that's the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed this little game recap, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more World Cup videos.